All right, welcome back to Modern Mondays at Guardian Games. We have some round three action for you here. We have heard the feedback that nobody in chat has said, but everybody is thinking, and we are not featuring any Oko decks this round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
No
get
more Oko.
hyped.
Get him
So
out of here.
we have found a couple non-Oko decks in the top tables. We're going to be looking at
What do we got? Oh, look at that animation coming in.
Jordan Mayer playing Golgari Yawgmoth and Josh Greenstein playing Selesnya Elves combo.
All right. Some spicy ones.
Yeah, so, okay, every so often we find some spice making it to the top tables here. Good to see some interesting decks making it. We were kind of talking about what was going on with the Star City this weekend. The list that some of the players brought was a Devoted Druid combo deck, and we see Josh here 2-0 with. Oh, you know what? I think I have the
Oh, they're
names
swapped. Yeah, I don't think Yawgmoth
reversed.
is in the Elves deck.
Yes.
Our players may be a little bit shook by being on camera here.
It happens to the best of us. It's gotten to me the number of times that I've
Oh,
been on camera
absolutely,
too.
absolutely. You definitely play differently when
Yeah.
you know that other people are watching you. Even if just somebody's watching me over my shoulder, I start to play a little different. I get a
Right.
little self-conscious. Um, looks like a Boreal Druid. Are there Thought Knot Seers in this deck?
Ooh, that's interesting.
I just can't imagine playing Boreal Druid
Yeah.
if you're not playing some colorless payoff. That's very interesting. So we've got Modern All-Star Young Wolf in play here to go with Strangerroot Geist, who I
I'll
have
love.
a good amount of love for
Yes.
Strangerroot Geist. Played a lot of it when it was in Standard, alongside another one of my favorite green cards. Maybe I just have always been a green player. Dungrove Elder.
Yes. Man, you should be in the booth more often. I'm usually stuck here with a bunch of players that hate green. No fun at all.
Oh yeah, I love some hasty 2-1 with Undying. I'm all about it.
Finally, a kindred spirit.
Elves with Oko? No, I don't know if there's Oko in there.
I skimmed through the decks, but I did not see any Okos, so we're thinking that we might have avoided the Oko train here.
So it looks like Jordan is playing Gerald's Messenger, but also Colony Garden.
That's gonna probably be game if Jordan does not have a way to interact with the board
Oh,
here.
yeah, that's going to be a lot of mana.
We are going to grab a Devoted Druid here. Or, excuse me, a Vizier of Remedies.
And yeah, there was no response to the Court of Calling, it looks like.
Interesting. So Josh is going to start by cracking the Horizon Canopy, which might suggest that...
Oh,
Okay,
that's
that'll do it.
infinitely large, trampoly couple of creatures there.
This is one of those things that happens sometimes when we feature spicy decks. Sometimes to be a spice deck, you got to get there. You can't get there in the mid range.
No,
You don't
yeah.
get there by trying to out Oko the Oko like we were talking about. So
Nope.
that's how you get there. You
You
run him
just
over with his
Oh,
Zuri.
oh, you have a 3 mana food? That's cool. Well, I'm gonna make infinite mana and attack for infinite damage.
Yeah. Yeah, crack as many food as you
That's a
like.
good looking food over there, though. That's a nice one.
Why don't you eat that? You can
You
eat
hungry?
that. Yeah.
'Cause let's go to game 2. Yeah, love it. And I feel like the Yawgmoth deck can similarly kind of go off all at once with what is it, Gravecrawler and Viscera Seer with the Yawgmoth or something like that. You can kind of just maybe it's Gerald's Messenger.
Yeah, I'm not. I know that Messenger is one of the cards that can be used. I have seen the deck go off like once or twice, but I'm not super familiar with exactly what board states it needs that are just straight up winning board states. I've seen it win a lot of kind of mid-range
Yeah,
control the board style matches.
it can just kill the creatures and then attack with Strangaroo Geists, which is certainly reasonable. You get to play Plague Engineer out of the sideboard, it looks like. And Yawgmoth is a really powerful card. I'm sad to say it's probably not as powerful as Urza. And, I mean, arguably in the story, Yawgmoth is more powerful than Urza. Maybe not. But I guess the version of Urza that was printed as a card is like him at his full power.
Yeah.
Whereas the Yawgmoth card is like when he was younger and still a human and like not in control of his own plane of like evil robots.
Right.
So maybe that Yawgmoth, the Yawgmoth that is featured on Yawgmoth's Bargain.
Yes.
Or Yawgmoth's Will.
Yeah, Yawgmoth's Will. Yeah.
Maybe those are like Yawgmoth at his full.
Right.
His final form.
Right. Yeah, being as powerful, a Yawgmoth that's as powerful with the graveyard as Urza is with artifacts. Would have been interesting.
Yeah,
although probably not super fun. I actually think Yawgmoth hit a very nice.
Oh yeah.
A nice power level where it's a good build around that's found a cool home in a deck that people enjoy playing.
Yeah.
That's not blowing Modern wide open.
Ooh, Neltrano with that subscription, 9 months. 9 months, Neltrano.
Thank you so much. Really, we really appreciate that. Makes a big difference for our little baby Portland stream, and thanks for keeping the doors open.
Yeah, seriously, Nell. But yeah, I totally agree about Yawgmoth. I think it's a cool flavor card. It's a really cool character from Magic's past. And they printed it for the first time as an actual creature, which was not overpowered in some crazy Tolarian Academy kind of way.
Yeah.
And just does a very powerful thing, but for 4 mana, reasonably powerful.
Yeah. In so many other contexts, we would have seen that card and be like, "This is awesome."
Oh yeah,
and it's.
I mean, 2 years ago, that card would be one of the best cards in Modern.
Yeah.
But in 2019, it's like 20th or something, maybe even further down than that.
Yeah.
2019 was depending on what you think of as good, was a really good year for power level of Magic cards. As we see, most decks in most formats are playing mostly cards from 2019.
Though, I like to believe that maybe we'll look back on 2019 and there'll be some hatred, but maybe a little bit of fondness too. Like, Urza Saga is like my favorite block to date, and that block just like ruined
everything,
Magic. And I mean, I was playing River Boas and Rancors at the time, so I had no idea it was ruining Magic. But
you were like, I regenerate my trample, dude.
Yeah.
So what's up?
Yeah. Why would you play this crappy 5-mana memory jar
Oh,
thing?
that's terrible. It
Garbage.
just draws the other player 7 cards.
Symmetrical
Why would you
effects.
even do that?
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's like the first time I read Brainstorm.
Yeah.
I was like, you draw 3 cards and you put 2 back and then what? Like this? You only really get 1 card.
Yeah, it's true.
Terrible.
Well, and fetch lands also didn't exist when it was printed. So
right.
Admittedly, it was that for a while.
Right. In 1995, I read that card and was like, this is terrible. I don't want it. It has too much text. I was pretty young, didn't want to read that much. I wasn't in class,
Yeah, I wasn't about the cards with lots of text.
I wanted flavor text.
Yes.
I wanted to read about grizzly bears and how you're not supposed to hide up the tree because the grizzly bears can climb trees. Like that's the kind of text I want on my card. I want it to say 2 mana 2/2.
Striped bear.
And I want it to wear a giant growth very well.
An armadillo cloak, a rancor.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously Brainstorm, very, very powerful card. Obviously Memory Jar, busted in half. But when you're playing kitchen table Magic, those cards are terrible.
This is the
Nobody
kind of
wants those.
Magic I like to see. Both players starting out with a free green cantrip.
Just,
That's what I'm talking
just
about.
free green, free green
Just
cantrips.
free green, best cantrip.
It
Green's worst
is.
color.
It's pretty. Green got a lot of help this year.
Yeah.
I like the revised Llanowar Elf. That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you know it, Neltrono. And if y'all haven't tuned into our stream before, you're a there's a very sweet segment we do on this stream called Flavor of the Week that we
We
will be
we might
visiting.
have something lined up for y'all. Should we audible the Rancor now?
We've
Oh,
done Rancor enough. We could go back to it. It's always a good
we
one.
could just revisit it
Yeah, yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
Uh-oh, we got a devoted druid, which happens to be an elf. Little known fact.
Jordan, I hope you can interact here.
Yeah, Jordan with 2 County Guard and Young Wolf, not really what he wants to see against
That
an.
looks like a black source though, so that was just drawn for turn.
Yeah, looks like a peatland.
So I think if Jordan has boarded in any interactive cards, we might see them
Should
here.
have access to them now.
Obviously, Yawgmoth himself is a decent answer. However, Yawgmoth costs 4 mana, and Jordan would have to tap out for it, so it's a little slow.
Also, Yawgmoth not very good against Vizier of Remedies, turns out.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Who knew? Brock is a good question. It has kind of depended on the week. We've had some weeks that we're hitting high. I would say attendance has dropped slightly, but we started with such a high number of modern players attending that we're still getting. So let's see,
There's a decent amount of folks playing Modern right now.
we have 34 people in tonight, which I
Yeah.
would say is on the low end for us. We usually get closer to 50, but it's generally pretty solid attendance.
So what 3-mana creature is Jordan going to search up here? Hopefully something that interacts with Devoted Druid.
Yes.
Or it could be sad times.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering, like, would this deck play something like I mean, we wouldn't be able to get it here, but like okay.
Revoker.
Yeah.
He pulls to the front, and that certainly interacts with Devoted Druid in a very favorable way here.
Yeah, notably, Revoker, unlike Pithing Needle, can target mana abilities
yeah.
of non-land permanents.
Yep. Which is why I can't name lands.
Right.
Because that would be a little busted.
Pretty
Forest.
good.
Oops, you can't use
You're
your
playing a
mana.
monocolored deck? Sorry.
Guess my 2/1 just beat you.
So Josh is going to have to try and get it done the fair way unless he has a way to remove this Revoker.
That is a good point. Starburn 64 Evolution should be exiled. We can go make sure that they do that in just a sec.
Yeah, I'll hop out and just note that.
Thanks, Ian. So yeah, Revoker presumably naming Devoted Druid, which puts Jordan in a good spot to hopefully get a few more turns. A lot of Pioneer events being run for you, Lemmings. Yeah, Pioneer certainly stole some of the thunder out of Modern for me, and I think a lot of other players. For me, Modern got into a sort of stale point with the Oko Urza decks, and the fact that you can't play mid-range at all otherwise is not that exciting to me personally. I still love Modern, but Pioneer being this fresh new format that keeps becoming more and more fresh every week has certainly turned me on towards that angle of things. So I've been playing a lot more Pioneer personally than Modern these days. Certainly still have a great time playing Modern and do enjoy it, but I think it needs a ban, personally.
Hi, Grateful. So Yawgmoth resolved, and currently no Vizier on the board, although Chameleon Colossus is a good mana sink, but playing Golgari colors makes it a bit less powerful.
Certainly. Um, yeah, I mean, protection from black, it is going to be hard to remove that.
Right, but it does not have trample naturally, so unless an Azuri is drawn, something like a young wolf with the Yawgmoth able to put the -1/-1 on it.
Right. Well, how does Yawgmoth read, actually? That might not work.
Yeah, let's pull up the Yawgmoth.
Yeah, I agree, Lemming Messiah. I think there should have been modern bans. At least one card out of the Urza deck should have been banned. Potentially Oko itself, potentially Urza itself, potentially Mox Opal. Those three cards were at the top of my list for modern bans. And I think it would rejuvenate the format a bit. But obviously, I think they're focusing more on Pioneer right now, as there are no like modern GPs, or I guess there's Austin coming up, but no modern Pro Tours in the near future, and no like modern PTQs besides at the GPs, as far as I know. So I think they're just gonna let modern kind of stew it over for a bit, which is unfortunate. But I don't know. It's always like any format has its ups and downs,
Yeah,
and yeah, currently I think with the hype around Pioneer and the kind of staleness of how good Urza and Oko are um, in modern is certainly, yeah, it's on a downswing right now, but I don't think it's by any means going away. And yeah, I, I I don't think it's going to be the next extended.
I gotta say I really like the board state that Jordan has navigated to. I know that it's still a bit tenuous. Life totals are somewhat low on Jordan's side, but I like the position that Jordan's got us to.
Uh, so wait, how did he cast?
So I believe one of those is the filter land.
Oh, okay, it's a Twilight Mire.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
So I think we filtered into black to get the 3 black for
That makes sense. I thought that was
Charles
a
Messenger.
peatland, but yeah, it looks like a Twilight Mire.
And actually we can let me pull up Giralf's Messenger for those that have not.
So yeah, Yawgmoth can't touch the Colossus though, huh?
No, but it can put counters. It can keep the young wolf alive by essentially removing the
Right,
+1/+1 counter.
right, yeah. Just blocking indefinitely, yeah.
So Messenger is the card that's kind of sitting up in the glare at the top of our frame that Jordan played. This is another one of the key cards in this combo. You generally want to get 2 cards that have Undying, and then with Yawgmoth, you can, as long as you have life total available, you can switch off sacking creatures and putting a -1/-1 counter on the other one to kind of pinball back and forth between the creatures.
Yeah,
And um, so if you have more life than your opponent,
you can drain them out.
yeah, you should be able to drain them out because you're getting 2 life every 2 sacks with the messenger. So it's kind of
Right.
like a 1-for-1 life trade for a while.
And currently Jordan has more life than Josh, so it's looking pretty good for Jordan currently. Josh having some mana issues. Pioneer feels like a boring standard plus format. I mean, if you didn't like, I mean, if you don't like brewing in a new format, if you don't like Wild West of Magic, if you will, then certainly Pioneer is probably not for you. But I personally have just been really excited by just a new pool of cards to build decks in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't love the play patterns of fetch lands in general. I love them in Legacy, where you can play Brainstorm and play Jace, and just do all your fetch land things with Sylvan Library and all that. I think fetches certainly have a place there,
So I do want to. We
but
just Jordan just went ahead
yeah,
and comboed off, so we were seeing him basically transfer that -1/-1 counter, and or I guess it's a +1/+1 counter in this case because with Yawgmoth, you're just going back and forth and sacrificing a creature that comes back with Undying with a counter on it, putting a -1/-1 counter on the other creature to get rid of the 1/1 counter that was on it. And so because Jordan had more life, like we talked about, Jordan was able to go off there and take game 2.
yeah, well done, Jordan. that Revoker was premium. And it
Yeah,
doesn't seem like Josh probably has too much removal in his green and white deck.
right.
There
It's
might be
tough.
Path to Exile.
Yeah, it's tough because it's gonna like it'll either force Josh to essentially board into a worse version of their deck because anytime you're playing one of these kind of synergy combo decks, when you're boarding in stuff like removal, you're making your deck less powerful. Um, and Jordan's playing the Revoker is almost a free roll because there's so many search effects.
Yeah,
Um,
easy to find.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a really sweet to see the Yawgmoth deck kind of go off there. Um,
and a great heads up play by Jordan, knowing that that Revoker could stop the combo from happening.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, hate industry. You're saying plenty of innovation in modern. I agree. I totally think you can play a lot of different decks. I think none of them can be mid-range decks, which is, I think, in my opinion, is just bad for the format. But I don't think that like mid-range needs to be the best deck. I don't think that Jund needs to like be the only deck you're supposed to play. Obviously, I think that would be terrible. But when Jund is unplayable, I think Modern is in a bad spot,
Hmm.
and I think that that's where it is right now. And so I do think you can innovate in Modern for sure, but I think most of the decks have been figured out, and that if you if you're building an innovative deck, it has to be able to beat Amulet Titan and Urza, which is very difficult to beat both of those decks with some sort of like weird brew. Whereas in Pioneer, I recently went 4-1 in a league with a deck I call Srammer Time, and it plays Colossus Hammer, Sigarda's Aid, and SRAM Senior Edificer. Um, so if you're saying you can't innovate in Pioneer, you're absolutely wrong. You should definitely check out my articles. I'm going to do a little self promotion here on TCG
Absolutely.
Player. Check them out. My name is Kevin Poncelet. If you go on TCG Player and you type in Srammer Time, you should be able to see that deck. Um, and I also play a different deck every week on that website. So go check it out. But Pioneer is certainly a place where you can innovate quite a bit, and you don't have to play Planeswalkers. So I totally disagree with your assessment, but you're welcome to have that.
We get another game that starts with both players casting Once Upon a Time. And I did want to note, talking about spice, I have spotted a Hapatra Vizier of Poisons in Jordan's hand. And this card's a doozy.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's one I haven't seen in a while.
yeah. I don't think I've ever like not a standard, not even played much in standard, just one of those cards that like see in Commander every now and again, but boy is it's a fun bit of text. I don't know
Yeah,
how good it'll be here, but I just like the card.
yeah, it seems pretty sweet. I mean, it definitely seems good against a deck full of 1/1s.
Yep. We get the tame start here again, the young wolf start. And again, Josh is threatening a turn 3 kill. So, got to see again if Jordan this time it's a little tougher. Jordan's on the draw here. So can't make 3 mana this turn to cast Eldritch Evolution even if it is in hand. So if there's a removal spell, I imagine we see it here. Oh, wow,
Ooh,
has the Revoker.
just had it,
Wow,
natty revoker,
that's dirty. Oh, it's
big
dirty.
time. Heritage
Okay.
Druid is very good here
Yep.
though.
But it looks like no
No extra
no
land,
payoffs
and
yet.
yeah, no Azuri or anything like that yet.
But Josh is by no means out of it. If Josh is able to stick something like an Azuri and make a ton of mana, uh, still possibly able to go off. And while that Vizier can't actually tap for mana using its own abilities, it can be included in the Heritage Druids tap 3 elves to make 3 greens. So it's still a honorary mana dork.
Yeah, it still works with Heritage Druid for sure. Still an elf.
We got a
There's
reader.
there's a
Not
Patra.
surprisingly. We'll toss it up again.
Yeah. Her subtle smile is suffused with venom.
I mean, and this is like a legit threat. If Jordan is able to start attacking with this,
Oh yeah.
um, Josh has to block.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh.
Dwynen's Elite is a
Things are
good.
happening here. We've got another activation of another Heritage Druid. That's what's so powerful about Heritage Druid is it doesn't need haste.
Right.
It just does its thing right away. And that Dwynen's Elite can actually trade for Hepatra, which is really good for Josh here.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, this is a real threat here if Jordan is not able to remove the Azuri from the board.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's lethal next turn necessarily, but it's certainly not good for Jordan if Josh gets untapped with Azuri. It's just actually casts Overrun for the exact same cost as Overrun.
And notably, to Azuri's text, Azuri cannot regenerate himself. Can only
Right.
regenerate another target elf.
Right, I've never seen this art on Azuri. This is different.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, Overrun only for elf creatures, that is. But I played quite a bit of Overruns in my time. That same deck with the Dungrove Elders, that was my first GP day 2, actually.
Oh wow.
Was a mono green. Llanowar Elf was in standard at the time. Dungrove Elder. The swords were in standard at the time. It was a Delver dominated format. And I was playing Dungrove Elder to get underneath Delver and just clock them, and it was great. And Overrun was also in that format, so I ended up boarding in Overrun against the other green creature decks to just go over the top of them. And it was the Tempest Overrun that I was running. Yeah, I had to go to all the vendors at that GP
That's the
until
art.
someone had it because I was like, I need the Tempest one. And it felt so good to cast that. And
That's so sick.
oh, so we've got a Yawgmoth in play now. And it looks like there was an activation of Yawgmoth killing one of the Heritage Druids.
Foo, 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 foo. So Hapatra plus Yawgmoth
Oh.
allows us to essentially just continue to
Machine
sack the
gunning?
snakes,
Yeah.
and for one life, we're able to just annihilate
The whole
Josh's board.
Yeah. Wow, Hapatra and Yawgmoth just
And
comboing the
Josh
elves out of the
showing
game.
that there was a path to exile in hand,
Ooh.
but Josh only had one land this game, and it was the Cavern of Souls.
Yeah.
And none of the elves can tap for white.
Yeah. There's no Birchlore Rangers in Modern, unfortunately.